No, it's just come up on my screen and just it's flashing saying recording.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
Yeah, same as
Awesome.
me.
Oh, well, it's working then. I like the map behind you. That looks rad.
Oh, it's wallpaper.
Is it?
The whole like place is just a wallpaper of maps.
Wow. And what area?
The whole country basically.
That's awesome. I'm jealous.
That's like Wanaka is up there.
Yeah.
Queenstown's over here. And
Yeah.
there's stuff in between.
Cool. Oh, you'll be able to see where you ran.
Yeah.
Have you got it mapped out on there, like highlight or anything?
Nah, because it's not my place, so.
Oh, they're cool then. Thanks, Brooke. Thanks for destroying our wallpaper.
Well,
Cool.
like,
So,
it's crazy because you can. There's so much when it's blown up like that, and you're like,
yeah.
right, so that's where that was, and
Yeah. So it was what time? Like November last year or December? When did you go?
it was 24th of August. Was
Oh,
when
so
I
you went quite
started.
early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
I
was
had.
there a reason?
Basically, it's a quiet time around work, so I could get time off. But there was problems up north with closures due to lambing and stuff like that. So, but there's diversions in place, so I just took them.
Yeah.
But it was only about probably 4 or 5 different sections further up north, and then I could get back into it properly.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And I feel that I didn't miss too much because it was all just farmland and stuff, not proper dock trails and stuff like that I was going through.
Yeah.
So I'm not I'm not that keen to go back and complete it properly.
Fair enough. I don't blame you. And your mum crewed you, right?
Yeah. She followed me in a camper van.
Yeah. And so do you see her pretty much every day apart from like the more remote sections?
Yeah, pretty much. We'd just tee up spots where I'd expected to finish that day's run and she'd meet me and then we'd go to like a holiday park or whatever and do it all again the next day. And sometimes you have to stay in the same place like for 3 or 4 nights just to get that section ticked off instead of carrying on further down.
Did you keep a diary of where you stayed and when or anything like that?
Yeah. So it was 100 days and there's 100 different places and there's about, I think there was 17 different huts in that too.
Oh, cool. I'd love to hear from your mum because I know how important and hectic crewing can be, and to do that for 100 days, she's a superwoman.
Yeah, and like she didn't really know how to drive the camper van either, so that was kind of.
What was the camper van access?
What's that?
What was the camper van access like in the South Island, like all main roads, or were there some kind of off-road 4-wheel drive type roads that the camper couldn't get to, or was it pretty good?
Generally it was pretty good. There was a few places like the Araroas and where you come out of Wellington. We couldn't get the camper van in there, but luckily I had a friend who had a van who picked us up that day.
Yeah, cool.
And then there was another place in the North Island near Blue Duck Station where we took the van, but it wasn't like good road for the camper van. So there are a few hairy places, but you kind of figured it out as we went. And the South Island I was more remote, away at longer periods of time, so yeah, she kind of skirted around the places where I went to.
Cool.
Awesome. I reckon, Amanda, you've probably got a heap of questions, right? Like, do you just want to kind of roll through them? And if there's anything else that I can kind of think of, I'll chime in.
Yeah. Cool. Disclaimer, like they're not very structured, Brooke. I've just literally like downloaded a dump of questions onto a kind of into a list, but I'll just roll through them if you kind of like.
Yeah.
If that's the easiest way. What do you find kind of the best source of info for like weather, trying to stay on top of like the weather and what was doing, and was there any easy or kind of best, most reliable option?
The main app that I was using was that YR Weather. But then again, if I'd waited for the weather to be good, then I wouldn't have got anywhere. So it pretty much rained every other day in the North Island, just because I left so early. So you just kind of got on with it, and I was, by the end when I got to Bluff, I was just like, whatever.
I guess
there'll always be weather, right?
I know of the helicopter pilots often like to use windy as well. So probably like I use YRNO for a lot of stuff. But if it's more remote kind of backcountry stuff, then windy can be quite good for looking at certain peaks and stuff like that. So yeah.
One section I was kind of I wanted a good day was on the Tongariro crossing. So I kind of skipped the section before that and then went down to a national park and joined a guided group and did the Tongariro crossing just because we had a good window, just because I'd never done it before and I wanted to experience that part of it too.
Yeah.
Like those mountains and stuff. That was probably one of the highlights of the North Island.
Aww.
How many pairs I was going to say, how many pairs of shoes did you go through?
I had about 5 pairs, and I'd kind of rotate them every day. And then, yeah.
All like the same? Or?
There were about 6. 5 different. 2 were the same, and then there were different ones for different trails. Like I use Innovates and Ultras, the Lone Peaks, and then Mud Claws for like gnarly stuff.
Yeah, you probably need quite a combo, hey, like, because there's some very varied terrain. Like you've got road sections and you've got like, I know the Tararoas, that's my old back door, and that can be super gnarly and muddy and stuff. So you'd want a real combination, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of road sections where you have to connect up to trailheads in the North Island too. So
yeah.
And yeah, like places like Parongia and the Tararoas where the mud claws came in pretty handy.
Yeah, they would.
Like places like that as well, if you're expecting to run the whole thing, just get that out of your head now, because there's not a lot of running going on. But you get pretty good at like power hiking and
can imagine.
And yeah, when it's runnable, like when you can get to the next day or whatever, it feels like a weight off once you've gotten through the tough sections like that.
What would you say is probably the toughest section you encountered?
Probably the Tararoas, just because when we went in there, like it was sunny and we came out 3 days later and like we're just soaked and drowned. And like we didn't get views or anything. And that was kind of the hardest part, just doing all of that effort for no kind of reward.
Yeah.
But then it kind of set me up for the South Island too, because there's nothing really that challenging until you get the Tararoas. Like Parongia is cool, but you can kind of do it in a day or two.
Yeah.
And yeah, until then it's kind of easier.
Thinking about that, I mean, so terrain's one thing, but what about navigation? Like, were there some bits that were harder to navigate for you? Like, not so well-worn trails or?
Yeah, probably, again, the Tararoas, but I had a guy with me that it was kind of his backyard when he was growing up.
Yeah.
So he helped me. And then down south, probably the Richmond Ranges, because it's 10-day kind of through hike,
Yeah.
and that's more of just finding a route. But if you kind of stick to the orange triangles, you get pretty good at, like, that's where I got to go. And I always had an app that was super valuable called Gut Hook, and so it was about $50 for the year, and it's kind of got the whole trail on it.
Yeah.
And you can find out exactly where you are on it, and then you can look ahead and see how far it is to the next hut or to the next, like, water feature or whatever. And
are you Android or Apple?
Android.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
and
then other users have also put, like, what the state of the hut's in as well, and left comments and stuff, and they've left comments about all the sections and stuff like that. So I was using that quite a bit.
Oh, that's super handy. I haven't heard of that one.
Was it Gut Hook?
Yeah, GUTHOOK.
Wow. And so you don't need GPS either, like it.
No, it worked without GPS.
Wicked. I've got an app like that. Because I was just about to ask you about, like, did you follow GPX files or anything like that? But if you've got just one solid one, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, I had my before I left, I printed off all the trail maps and stuff as well, and then trail notes. So still got the big folder full of them, and I just take each section, each piece of paper with me in case of backup.
Yeah, wise move.
Did you find those trail notes and stuff? Were they like? Oh, sorry, Ellie.
No, you're all good. Go for it.
I was just going to say, what, like, were the trail notes and stuff from the Te Araroa site, like, the best planning tool you came across, or anything else that helped kind of planning in advance?
Yeah, but it was kind of like I didn't really plan it in advance because I'm down in Wanaka, so I knew nothing until I kind of got there, and you could figure it out every 3 or 4 days. So I kind of, when I got up to the top, like 2 days before, I figured out the next kind of 2 or 3 days, and it just worked way better like that, because it was just better to do it in the field rather than it would have taken way too much time up just trying to figure it all out before I even started.
That makes sense. You know that old saying, like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Like, that's probably similar application here, and then it wouldn't feel so overwhelming. Like, I mean, obviously you had it all prepared and ready to go, but if you just kind of go, okay, these are my next couple of days, I'm sorted.
Well, like I mapped it out an original plan, but then after like 10 days, it all fell apart. So you just kind of had to roll with whatever else was going to come. So
yeah,
a plan never survives first contact, right?
No, and you kind of had, like, the first day, for instance, we had it that Mum could come in and get me off 19 Mile Beach where I was going to run to.
Mm-hmm.
But when we went up to Cape Ringa, we went to a servo, and they were like, the locals said, oh, you can't get car access in there anymore, the locals have closed it.
Oh.
So we were like, shit, what do we do? And then I was just like, well, I had to camp out. There was a campsite 40 k's down on the first day.
Yeah.
And we ended up camping the very first night. So everything was kind of thrown out the window the first day. It was like you had to just adapt and figure it out. But I had all that gear with me anyway, and that was going to be the plan all along, to camp parts of it.
So what was your gear that you used? Like, did you go good old MSR, or like what did you?
I got super lucky. Well, I was raising money for mental health. So, and that definitely helped me get like sponsors and stuff on board, rather than if I wasn't raising money.
Yeah.
So I had further faster
Oh, yeah.
behind me as well, and I ended up going with like a little one-person kind of coffin like tent, and it's like about 800 grams,
Yeah.
and then everything else was super lightweight and stuff like that.
Cool.
And I didn't really splash out on a sleeping bag. I just, when it got cold, I just put more clothes on. Like I've got a $30 one-day sleeping bag that I brought, and it's like for summer conditions. But then you just put all your warm clothes on, and it's sweet.
Oh, Brooke. What about food-wise? Like, what did you go for on the go like that when you're camping out? What were your options?
It's another company that's kind of new. You know, have you heard of the Radix Nutrition?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I have heard of them. Yeah.
So they came on board with me too, and I was like, "Oh, do you think you guys could sponsor me?" And they were like, "Well, we can't offer you money, but we can send you like 40 meals ready to go."
Wow. Yeah.
And so I was pretty stoked with that, and it's like real good because some of that stuff's pretty just boring to eat.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much my go-to, and it was cool because in Hamilton the factory is pretty much 100 meters off the trail. So when I went through there,
Yeah.
they let me do a tour and stuff.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
and then I got into the My Spring Energy gels,
Oh,
which is
yeah, I
real
like
good.
them.
Yeah.
And did
So
you
that
find like
What
you
about
got super hungry?
not really, because Mum was feeding me up pretty good. I've never eaten so good in my life.
Haven't you? What did she feed you?
It was mainly like simple stuff like pasta and any like thing because there's no oven in the camping van,
Yeah.
so we'd have to do like just simple pastas and stuff like that. But she'd always bulk it up. That's what
Yeah.
people told her, that he needs to eat lots of like heaps of food.
Yeah. Lots of calorie dense stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, cool. Oh man, imagine having mum with you. That's amazing.
But it kind of got to the
restaurant,
point like it was good like the whole time, and then it kind of got like but missed hanging out with friends and stuff like that because you know there's only so much you can talk to your mum about, right?
Yeah. So but then on the other hand, like would you have changed crew part way through? Like so say if someone can't commit to having like, 3 months out, like would you have, I mean, I guess beggars can't be choosers, right? But like there'd be different complexities with that as well.
Probably not because mum kind of got it down packed and knew what to do. Like
Yeah.
some places we got to, like we stayed the night in Wellington at friends at Waikakariki, so it
Yeah.
was on the ocean. But then I had trouble sleeping next to the sound of the waves crashing. Like
Yeah.
so, like I told mum because we were going to stay there another night because it was
Yeah.
family friends. I was like, oh, I can't stay here. I just can't sleep. So we ended
Yeah.
up going to another holiday park closer into the city. Whereas
Yeah.
if it was someone else, they would be like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. And sleep's so important. Did you find that the hours went up, like that you were sleeping, or did you make yourself have a routine?
It was kind of hard just because every second, third day I was in a totally new place.
Yeah.
And then from kind of it's hard to wind down at night because you've seen so much cool stuff. So I kind of struggled to sleep, which was
Yeah.
quite annoying. But then, yeah, I'd like wake up the next day and just be full of energy again, ready to see more new stuff. That kind
Yeah.
of fell into a rhythm. But then by the end of it, like the bed in the camper van got pretty comfortable. Yeah,
I
that was
bet.
one of the harder things I found, and especially in huts
Yeah.
where like you can't really sleep at all.
Yeah. It depends
Especially
who's
those
staying,
like
eh?
hard beds and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you take
And
a
then-
sleeping mat with you, Brooke? For any of those options?
Not for when I was in the huts, but I've got one for my tent that's like just folds down, and one of those wee blow up ones.
Cool.
Did you have any gear fail on you?
No, it all worked pretty well.
Yeah.
You're pretty happy with everything. A few pairs of shoes blew out, but that was expected.
Yeah. How you going question-wise, Amanda? Are we covering lots off?
Yeah, we're ticking lots off. We're ticking lots off.
Are you going to
It's,
go for Lucy's record?
Nah, I want to enjoy it. I want to take in the scenery on the way. So, but it's like, yeah, looking to do it November next year.
Yeah.
So got kind of a 18-month kind of prep and stuff. And yeah, just want to enjoy it. Don't know what I don't know. I think, like you said, it's such a kind of, if you start to plan too much in detail, it's almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
So just getting like advice from people that have done it before is like invaluable.
Yeah. Just practice like lots. Running in wet feet too, because
Yeah.
pretty much every day, even if you don't cross any rivers or whatever, you go through some pretty horrible stuff.
Yeah.
But at the start, don't be scared either, because when I first started, I was like, what the hell, the trail, it can't go through here, but then it does, and then further down, it's like, you just get on with it, and you end up just being like, yeah, that's the trail.
Talking about like rivers and stuff, what was the water supply like and water sources along the way? Like,
it was all pretty good when I went through, and all the huts had water. There was one hut when it was real, I'm not sure what had happened, but the water was real smoky tasting.
Oh, sometimes if it comes off the roof, it gets like that.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's horrible.
Yeah, I was like, but with that app too, it's got like little emojis for where water sources are and if it's safe to drink it or not.
It's
So
super handy.
I never really had a problem.
cool.
What was the most that you carried water-wise?
I can't really remember.
Fair enough. It's a while ago now.
Yeah, it was probably through the Richmond Ranges when I had my full pack on and stuff. I had like 2 bottles on the sides.
Yeah, I know Tararoas too. Like I haven't done the Araroa part through the Tararoas, but like normally if you're doing a big mission through there, you need to carry a lot of water because it's a long distance between huts. So I'd imagine it'll be the same for Araroa as well.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, as well, it's those sections, right? It's got to get from one, like a lot of the road sections, there's no water, so you've got to kind of work out them before you go.
Did your mum crew you for those parts and like find a space to stop off and get you water, or did you just ask for a hose or something from someone?
We kind of met at the end of each day, so she'd just kind of leave me to it.
Yeah.
And then, so I never really had a problem running out of water and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess that's a bonus for going in August, eh?
Yeah. Well, especially the Tararoas, because it rained the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably just drank off the trail there.
Any tips you reckon, like, or anything you would do differently, Brooke, or like any kind of, I suppose, any gear you wish you'd had with you, or any kind of lessons that you're like, oh, if I'd done that, it would have made things way better, or happy over like?
I'm kind of happy with how it all went, just because I was going into the unknown anyway. My main thing was like, I found that doing the races beforehand that I'd done, and I've DNF'd a few, so having that mentality was like, with the racing, there was always next year, and then with this year, it was a one-time thing, so I just had to get through it, you know. I couldn't quit because he wouldn't be here next year. That was kind of my big thing. I don't think I would change anything, even on the shitty days, like just because it made you tougher for the next section, and then you felt like pretty badass for getting through that bit, and it was so horrible.
I'm trying to think what I was going to ask you then. No, it's gone.
I've got a question for you. Did you do any recovery in the evenings, like after each big day and stuff? Like, did you have a roller, or nah, you just relaxed and slept and ate, or like, did you have a recovery routine at all?
No, I did none of that. Like no stretching or anything. But because I never have before anyway, so I just didn't want to start, and I thought it might change stuff if I started doing it, and I never really needed to. And because you just get stronger as each day. Like at the start, you're like, man, this is hard, but then after 2 or 3 weeks, you just get pumped for the next kind of. You look ahead and you know that cool stuff's coming again. So I mean, it's each to your own, I guess, if you stretch or not. Like, but I never really did. I never really saw any physios or anything, or got massages, but I don't really like them either.
Yeah, cool.
Did you take poles or anything like that to help you through the heavier sections?
Definitely need poles.
Yeah.
But you can work out.
Where did they come in handy?
Araroas were a good place.
Yeah.
Even on the first day on the beach, I got real bad blisters.
Yeah.
Because I can't really train on the beach in Wanaka.
Oh yeah, and that much sand, like that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah. So, and then you have to cross a few creeks as well. And I just mixed the wrong socks and the wrong shoes. That was my problem. That's why I got them. So then I needed the poles on the beach for the second day just to help feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when you see the terrain coming ahead, you kind of know. If you look ahead, you'll find it.
Did you wear gaiters at all?
Nah, I just don't really like them.
Fair enough.
But I kind of have good shoes as well, so that never really get stuff in there. So
yeah.
But there wasn't really any places where stuff kind of gets in. It's just you're gonna get muddy anyway and wet anyway. Just do lots of training in wet shoes, basically. And I use the Smart Wool socks as well, so they were kind of my go-to socks. Just good socks.
Yeah.
Did you use any like goo or anything, or like Vaseline your feet up?
No, I've never had before, so like I don't shave, so which is lucky.
That is lucky. Oh, we lost Amanda. What happened? I think your internet might have gone.
I'm back. I just had a work.
Oh.
No, I just had a work call. I just hung up on someone. Yeah, I'll call them back.
Screw you guys. I'm off.
Yeah.
What other questions you got, Amanda?
I think we've covered lots of them. Like, I don't know what I don't know at the moment. So how did you kind of determine how many Ks you were going to do each day? Like you said, you kind of just planned a day ahead or whatever. Did you have a rough estimate of a goal kilometre per day?
Well, I wanted to average between 30 and 40. I think there was about 6 times when I did over 50. But it was kind of just where can mum get to me, or where am I going to be kind of knackered, or where am I staying? And you kind of want to get through it as quick as possible too, so you'd want to do big distances. Because if you finish at like 2 in the afternoon, then it's just a lot of waiting around when you could be out doing it. So I kind of...
You go.
I did just, big 30, 40K days. But in my original plan, I was going to do kind of 10 days on and one day off. But I ended up doing 6 days on and having 1 day off, which worked out real well because you need that rest, I felt. Because I was averaging about 160 Ks a week. Well, like my last week I did 240 Ks, I think.
Ouch.
But then it's like that last week, it's just like you were going to work anyway, and that was what I was doing. So you just going to get up and go each day, like you're going to work, but you get to go running.
It's like a job, right?
Yeah.
And then Bluff was in my sight, so it's like, sweet. I don't want any more days off. I'm nearly there.
Yeah. Did you take a tracker? Like, did you have a Garmin InReach or anything like that so that your mum knew where you're at?
Yeah, that was the main what I was using, and like even people on my Facebook page and stuff to see where I was going.
Yeah.
I had lots of family friends and stuff like, oh, saw you here, and like, and even another thing I found helpful, people could find out where I was if they wanted to come and meet me.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a lot of support on the trail, eh?
Yeah, that was a big thing too. Like, if you kind of arranged it, and then it was something to look forward to as well, like refreshing. And then the K's just tick away when you're just chatting. Like a few people I didn't even know, and then by the end of it, you're best mates.
Oh, that's cool. And
So
how'd you go? Oh, sorry, you go.
Yeah, I definitely, when you do it, just try and get as many people like to run different sections with you as you can. But then I like the days where I had to figure it out for myself as well.
Yeah, it's really nice to have that balance, eh?
Yeah. Well, like
how
for instance, when I was in Wellington, it was quite tough because we were doing a 50K day, and have you heard of Conan Ford?
Yes.
Yeah, I know Conan.
So he ran with me that day, and like he's just come off a week of not running, and I'm like day 40 or whatever, getting pretty tired, and he's just bounding ahead. I'm like, man, I can't keep this up. If it's gonna be like this. So like you just have to be wary that that person's knackered, and I can't keep up with people on fresh legs.
Yeah, let them set their pace. How did you go with like keeping everything charged? Because did you kind of have heaps of battery blocks on the go, or I mean, obviously you had the evenings with the camper, but were you at powered sites? Because sometimes the solar power is not that great, eh?
Yeah, I pretty much charged everything every day.
Yeah.
In the camper van.
Yeah.
And then I've got like 3 battery packs.
Yeah.
Just because I haven't found a good one yet, like that'll go distance. So it's quite tricky.
Yeah, it would be quite hard because it's for all the devices you got going on, like watch and reach and all that sort of stuff.
Well, the inReach was real good. It's got awesome battery power, and I've got a Coro's watch, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I was using, and I only had to charge it once a week.
Yeah.
But it was just like when I went through the Richmonds on that, it took 7 days, and the last day everything kind of went flat. So the night before, and like I didn't have my phone or anything.
Yeah.
All of that was running low. So
yeah, and that's tricky if you're using it for nav and stuff as well.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you had the maps printed out, which is great. So it's probably just something to be aware of, right, for those longer stretches where technology might not go the distance.
So 2 to 3 days, you should be pretty sweet with a good battery pack, but I haven't found a good one yet.
No. Oh, that's cool. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions.
Although going back to the camper one, what kind of camper did you guys have? Like, was it just like one of the van ones, or a proper camper, and like, do you have a shower and stuff in it?
It was one of those big 4-berth ones.
Yeah.
So we got lucky then as well. Someone donated it to the cause.
Oh, that's cool.
So Mum had to go up to Nelson to pick that up as well.
Yeah.
And then she came up to Auckland to meet me when I flew up there.
Wow, big drug.
Yeah, so she got used to it pretty fast.
Yeah.
And it had a shower and toilet, but we're always too scared to use it because we didn't want to deal with emptying it out and stuff. But at
It's not that bad.
we'd stay at like top 10s, which are pretty awesome these days.
Yeah.
Mm. I think because we use a camper sometimes, Brooke, and if you are using like the shower and toilet and stuff, you kind of get a week. Obviously, it depends how much you're going or showering, but you get about a week with the tanks before they need emptying. So, yeah, something there for you guys maybe. I don't know. Anything else? Have we covered everything?
Yeah, at this stage in like my planning and thinking, like we've ticked everything. Like just talking is super useful. So that's kind of where my brain's at.
Yeah. What were your favourite bits, Brooke? Obviously, you had the Tongariro crossing, but what about the rest of it?
The first 3 days on 90 Mile Beach.
Yeah.
Up there, just because it was so unknown at that point, and just because of being from Wanaka, I don't really get to experience like the far north and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it would make you appreciate how diverse our country is, right?
Yeah, and that like you don't realise how kind of barren it is up there, and all of a sudden it's in the middle of nowhere kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Timber Trail was a highlight.
Yeah.
Because one of my friends knew the owners of the lodge. It's like smack bang in the middle.
Yeah.
So I did like 39k and then 43 the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Oh, I'm coming through," but I'd already messaged him and said, "Oh, I've booked in here anyway." So when I got there, like they put me up into one of their like a master bedroom kind of thing, and they were like that whole day it pissed down with the rain. So I got in there and they were like, "Oh, do you want a beer and a pizza?" And we'll put you up in the ensuite because I know my friend had already arranged it. So that was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's so nice.
And then seeing the Tararoas, just the way that it rained the whole time through there, and like it just made me like know that I could get through anything after that, because it was pretty like wild and kind of like, and then even Wellington, through the Wellington Hills, because it was super windy through there, like the windiest I've kind of ever experienced. But I was with Con, so it was pretty cool. And then running into finished the North Island. Kate Shea was there and like went out for lunch and stuff, and with her after that.
Yeah.
Even places like the Queen Charlotte Trail was pretty awesome because I've never really experienced much up there before, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But,
and then I guess it felt more and more like home, right? Like getting further and further down south.
Yeah, well, that was one of the hardest parts is when I got to Wanaka. You come over Lake Hawea, and you can see Wanaka and stuff. And Malcolm and Sally Law had come up and met me there.
Yeah.
And then they kind of ran back down with me in the car that day. And then, like, pretty much all through Wanaka, I had all my friends run through sections with me. And when I left, you go through the Motatapu. And that's when it kind of, I wanted to quit because I had about 6 friends come through me and they all turned back. And then I was back being on my own again. So that was one of the hardest parts. But then I knew if I quit and pulled out, then I'd miss, like, there's some cool stuff in Southland as well, all the way to Bluff that I would have missed out on.
Yeah.
So that was real hard because it was just kind of, when I got back here, I stayed here for too long, probably a day more than I should have.
Yeah.
So I kind of got comfortable and into a routine again. And
Yeah, got out of your
catching up with
routine.
friends and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas I should have just kept going. But then it worked out pretty good. And I knew if I'd like pulled out, then I'd have to go back to work, and it wouldn't, you know. There was never really any idea of quitting.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of funny, like with racing and that, you get the medal and it's like, what next? You do the next thing with that. There was no kind of medal or anything. It was just an achievement. Like, it didn't really mean anything to anyone else.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that it did, like people were really excited for you and wanted to support you and follow you and see how you were going. So I think probably it gave a different kind of sense of adventure and motivation for people.
That was the crazy thing too, is like how many people started following and that as well. And then it was like, I knew if I quit, then I feel like I'd let all of these people down.
Yeah. And how did you go, like, mentally? Like, did it ever get a bit overwhelming? Like, did you feel kind of like on top of your game the whole time, or
At the start, I was, because you'd upload everything to Strava and that, and then it's like just looking at the map going, there's so far to go.
Yeah.
And that was kind of overwhelming. But after a while, I got to the point where it kind of, I was just like, oh, there's some exciting stuff coming up, so I may as well get on with it. So it kind of ended up being like, there's shitty parts in life that, and then to get through the shit stuff, there's going to be good stuff the next part. So I just looked at it like that, and then it was like, if I quit, I just have to go back to work, and it'd just be depressing.
Yeah, fair enough. And has it kind of motivated you to do anything like this in the future, or what do you think?
It's weird. It's kind of motivated me to go back to do those races that I've struggled with in the past again, and do things differently. Like, I'm going back for August Road next year.
Cool.
And it was like, it mentally taught me that I can, if not just put everything off, So like, prior to doing the trail, I'd be like, oh, it's raining, I can't bother going out and training. Whereas now it's like, doesn't faze me. And it's that whole consistency thing as well.
Yeah.
I think I've learned that I need to be more consistent with training and everything.
Yeah. But do you think also, like, so I know, like, old Ghost, what you went through mentally. What year was that? Like 2018?
I think it was 2018, yeah.
Yeah. And like it was like you didn't think you could do it, and then we got to about, I think it was like a couple of K to go, and you're like, oh, we gotta finish this. And I was like, what do you think we've been doing, Brooke? And you did, and it was like this big click. Like, do you think that mentally doing the Te Araroa has given you a lot more confidence in yourself to achieve things now? Like, do you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I think that was a credit to those days too, like on August that day. Because I felt all of that, and there were no days that I got that kind of messed up,
Yeah.
So then it kind of got easier as I kept going, and I just got stronger and a tougher mindset. Like, if it was raining, it was just like, oh, whatever, I can't control it, so may as well just keep going.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad for you. It was really heartening to see you do it. I was quite worried for you taking on that elephant, and it was so awesome to see you, fulfill that dream.
Well, that was like what Jenny Hurst, because I stayed with her in Auckland as well.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, you should," because she ran a few 3 days with me.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you're more suited to adventures rather than races."
Yeah.
But that's the thing too, is you kind of, because when I finished, you feel like you're indestructible and that you can do anything, but then it's taken a good 6 months for me to get kind of run fit again. Like, it took a lot out of me, so you just got to be wary of that too. So I thought I was invincible and could keep running, and so after 3 weeks I kind of stopped completely and started mountain biking and stuff like that once I finished.
Yeah.
Did you lose much weight or anything when you throughout the 100 days, Brooke?
Apparently I did, but like I'm kind of skinny in general, so you can't really tell. But my workmates, when I got back to work, they give me shit saying how much I lost, but I never really felt that I lost that much.
But it did take a bit out of the tank then, so you... Yeah. Well, it sounds like it was a good thing, like giving yourself that space for recovery and to, put on a bit more weight again. And
the thing too was the training. I was the same when I was with squad run.
Yeah.
Like I'd flick it off and miss days and stuff. But with the I had another coach when I did Te Araroa, but then I'd kind of miss days and be like, oh, I can't be bothered. And but in the end, it didn't really matter because you get fit as you go down.
Yeah, and I guess that's the tricky thing, right? Like, motivation actually comes pretty much from within. Like, you've got to be intrinsically motivated to get out and train, and obviously you've learned that as well, like, becoming more resilient and getting out in the weather and learning the value of consistency. So it sounds like it's been a really cool thing for you to go through.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, because it makes you appreciate what coaches do with writing that program. Then I felt like I let you guys and my other coach down just because I didn't do that kind of schedule, just flicked it off when I was a little tired or whatever, when I should have done it, and I feel if I'd done that for Old Ghost Road, it would have been a different story. That's why now I'm kind of starting to train for the Old Ghost Road now, so when it comes around, it hopefully will be a different story.
But I think that happens to all runners, like we've all been there where we've gone, holy shit, this is a really shitty experience. Like, if I had nailed this bit, then it would be so much better. So we have those moments that feed forward to future races or adventures or whatever it is. Like, you've got to have those learning points too. So I think, like saying I'll go to was it the first time, 2018? Was really hard, but then, like you said before, that it gave you that kind of resilience to get through Te Araroa as well.
Yeah.
And then hopefully now you can just use all of that and go back and smash Old Ghost.
Well, that's what Sally said when I got back, is like Brook 1 left and Brook 2 came back. Like, she could tell that I've got a whole new mindset,
Yeah. And I think that's a really hard thing to train, right? That was why I was so concerned for you doing Te Araroa, but it's been so awesome to see what Te Araroa's given you. So it's cool, really cool.
It's just like you look at it when you start and you're like, this is a crazy goal. Like, I've got no right being here. And it's just like, it's pretty awesome to see how diverse New Zealand is, and it's just such a cool country. Like, that had everything in it.
Yeah.
like traversing volcanoes and from the beaches, the big forests. Like you've got to have a why too. I feel that it will keep you going. Like, why do you want to do it?
What was yours?
Just an adventure and seeing new places.
Yeah.
Like I knew that it was going to be the experience of a lifetime.
Yeah. Mm.
Like,
So
why do
are you seeking out anything else then? Like, so obviously you're going back to races, but what's the next adventure of a lifetime for you?
I'm not too sure yet.
Yeah.
Well, because it's not officially finished, right? Because there was 3 weeks. I've still got 3 weeks left to do.
Yeah.
So that's the next part I'm doing Old Ghost and then go back to finish that.
That'd
So
be
I've
cool.
still got from St. Anna to Tekapo to do.
Oh, yeah. That'll be something to look forward to though, right?
Yeah, especially now with all the shit that's gone down, like the pandemic and everything.
I reckon, man, it makes you appreciate where we're at, right? And what we've got
Yeah.
on our back doorstep.
Well, especially like I was originally going to do it in March, but then we had to go into lockdown, so that kind of...
Yeah.
And then it was too late after that.
And then in lockdown, were you just like, I really want to go out and do that? Like
Yeah. It kind of... Because it's unfinished,
Yeah.
which is kind of annoying. Like, once that's done, then I can close that book. And then the thing too with that is that there's so much. It showed me how much cool stuff is out there.
Yeah. Just opens the door to more, eh? Like we've got
Yeah.
such an amazing country with so many potential adventures. It's pretty epic.
Why did you want to do it, Amanda? Why do you?
Yeah, I think it's been on the bucket list for ages. Like I pick crazy ideas in my head and just jump head first in. And once I decide I'm going to do it, there's no other option. And it's been on the bucket list for a while. And I just want to go on a massive adventure. And I don't know, I want to do something where everyone else is telling me it's crazy and I can't do it. And I want to say, no, I can.
Yeah. Well, I was the same too, but then no one really said, "Oh, you can't do that." Everyone was pretty like on board. That's what was crazy.
People look at you like you're a bit crazy, though, right? They're like,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right, you're
just a massive
running where?
Yeah.
Yeah. How far? Cool. Oh, well, I think that might be us all questioned out for now. I don't know. Have you got any more, Amanda?
No, I'm good, thanks. That was super useful. Thanks for your time, Brooke, and for
No worries.
really useful.
Oh, no worries. And good to chat. And I, gosh, Brooke, I tell you what, like you've tugged at the heartstrings a bit there. The mind is whirling about all the things that we can do. So thank you for that.
No worries.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, I'm keen to maybe come up and do Ring of Fire one year because that's pretty fun around Tongariro.
It's pretty special, that landscape, and pretty gnarly, and yeah
that's where I got interesting because I did the Tongariro and then you go from there past a chalet and then you drop down into National Park, and through there that was one of the worst bits I've been through. It's muddy and horrible.
Yeah, some of that more lower lying stuff, it gets super wet.
But then it was super fun from National Park down to Blue Duck Station.
Yeah.
Like it's like goes down on a mountain bike trail, and it's pretty much you're at 800 meters sea level and you drop down to 200 meters. So that was awesome day. There's just awesome days like that.
Yeah. Oh, you made me want to go for a big long run now. Cool. Well, I really appreciate both of your time, and thanks for the chat. And we'll look forward to hearing and following Amanda when she finally goes. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you considered doing it for a charity at all or anything?
Yeah, it's in my mind. That's probably one question I actually didn't ask you. Like, did you find charity help or hindrance? Like, was it
Definitely
real
help.
good motivation? Or yeah,
Because I figure, well, like when I was saying I was doing it for the Mental Health Foundation, people would be like, "Oh, sweet, we can offer you this and this." Whereas I felt if I was just doing it for myself as well, then it would have been super hard to get, sponsored. And then it kind of made it all worthwhile as well, knowing that I was doing it for those guys. Because I met up with them in Auckland, the team at Auckland, and then they were super stoked as well. And then heaps of people stoked that I was raising money for them as well.
yeah, cool. Yeah,
But then
definitely.
it's kind of another thing I found was you don't want to keep smashing it in people's faces. Like you just do like 1 or 2 posts a week about it as well. You don't want to keep needing people for money.
Totally.
But yeah, that was real cool. It was a real rewarding feeling because I originally wanted to raise $5,000 and then ended up raising over 16,000.
Wow,
Awesome.
that's huge.
But yeah, and then even with the pandemic and stuff, it made way more sense that it was like, I was pretty stoked the charity that I chose.
I
Lots
think
of
that's the
people.
key, right? Like if you do
Yeah.
it for a charity, it's that knowing, it's almost like having a why, like it's got to resonate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my friends told me that that's why I started with 5,000 is because I'd never raised money for charity before, so you're not going to be too upset. It's not going to play on your mind if you don't get there, because But then it just keeps skyrocketing and everyone kept donating.
Awesome.
And
Cool.
yeah, just make like my thing was just making the stories good too. People don't want to, take good photos and have a good story, and people seem to like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we'll call it a day there.
Yeah.
And really appreciate the chat. Good to see you both online. And yeah, we'll keep in touch, hey?
Yeah. Well, I'll see you guys at Old Ghost probably.
Yeah, can't wait. Love that event. Good. All right. Take care, you two. Thanks so much for your time.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.